what architecture actually is, from a point of view of landscape. Well, one thing that always occurred to me, and is a big difference, it's something that, however, is being experimented with, is a certain stiffness. You know, when you work in a landscape, dynamism is a nature, is a natural element of it. You know, that you have to work with changing in uses, changing in the development of plants, things growing, the weather changing, the atmosphere of the space. You know, this that the space is not a constant, but something that is changing, is something natural to me. And the opposite is for architecture, that can be pretty stiff. So I'm kind of interested what happens if you join these two things. What happens? I also love when landscape becomes a bit more stiff sometimes, and I love it when architecture becomes a bit more dynamic. What the general role is, I don't like to fix it, because also it depends from project to project. You know, sometimes it's more a social role, sometimes it's really a formalistic role, sometimes it is. So I wouldn't say that there is one single role to play. When I finished school, I actually should have become probably an artist or an architect or whatever. But when I finished school, however, I was very insecure what to do, and I wasn't brave enough to do a portfolio to enter an art school. And my best subject was art when I was at school, and my art teacher, she told me, you have to do art, you are so talented, blah blah blah. But I didn't know, I never could draw very well, so I thought that's nothing to do. And then I started to study art history in Frankfurt. I studied for 2 years, and then there was a seminar about the history of gardens, of landscape architecture, and somehow I got fascinated, and then I changed from art history to landscape architecture. So I was kind of fascinated, you know. Before I did encounter this seminar, I thought landscape or trees or these things are actually given; they are not planned. From the very beginning, you know that architecture is made. But when it comes to landscape architecture, often you think these things are there. No one actually did them. Yeah, God or nature did them. What is partly true, because trees obviously have to grow after you plant them, and they have their own independence to a certain extent. But so I got fascinated by the idea that all these things have been done, and I like the complexity and, let's say, the overall quality of it. You know, that is like an art that you experience with all your senses. You know, you have visual experiences, you have olfactory experiences, you can also take an apple in your mouth and taste the work that you are doing. So there are not many design fields maybe where you would have such a complete experience. So this is how I ended up doing landscape architecture.